Exclamation everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me it is Saturday night, May the 16th, 2015. I almost said 2014, 2015. I hope everybody's had an excellent week. I certainly have had a nice one. It's been a lot of games played, a lot of things going on, and as always, I'll start off with what I've been working on, or what I've been playing, what I've been looking at, and then we'll look at some other things that I've been doing here. One of the major changes I've been trying to implement with a moderate level of success. I'm starting to try to actually post things on Twitter at least once a day. And by that I mean non-automated posts, actually me typing things into Twitter and having them go out. And I'm not quite sure. My biggest problem with Twitter and with the social media in general is I don't know what to talk about necessarily. So I'm sticking with just, hey, if I see something that looks kind of decent, I'm going to link to it. So it's not really the true social interaction thing that I'm sure a lot of people want, but it's more of me just saying, you know what, 140 characters, not a whole lot for me to to express in that amount of time. So it's mostly just hey, here's a link to something that I think looks kind of interesting. And I'll be talking now in depth, as much depth as I can muster anyway, about some of those things, as well as other things that have come up as well. So, starting off here, I just today finished recording Oceanhorn. That's the name of the game. Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas. The next couple of episodes, I think we're going to have 3 more episodes, based upon how it seems to be shaping up. The next 3 episodes are going to be interesting. Particularly this next episode is going to be interesting because I'm going to end up probably chopping it up pretty heavily and just doing some overlay audio, some post commentary on it. Nothing was particularly wrong with my audio that I had, but what ended up happening was I encountered probably, let's put it this way, I've fought a lot of bosses in a lot of games over the years, and the boss battle that is coming up for you guys, it was probably the most boring grind of a boss I've ever had the misfortune of playing or having to beat. So I can't really subject you guys to that. That would just be terrible. I mean, literally it was a 2-hour session of me just trying to get through this one boss. But there are other things I did along the way, so it's probably going to be more of a, here's the highlights of things that went on, and I'll probably do my own overlay, my own voiceover. It's like post commentary. I'll break in when it's necessary and just talk over the footage that I have, because a lot of it is just, like I said, it's I'm gonna have to chop it up pretty heavily to show you the actual boss battle, and even then it's a really boring boss battle. So probably won't show the entire thing. I'll just kind of talk about what's going on and what happens and why I didn't really particularly like it. And then the next 2 episodes after that are a little bit better. The final boss wasn't too bad. It was somewhat redeeming over what that second to last boss was. But I talk about all that in the actual episodes themselves, so I won't spoil anything. But yeah, I've got Oceanhorn done. I started to record some decks. I have 1 episode of that done, and I'll give you a little spoiler on that. I'm going to have to chop up the initial credit sequence a little bit because I may have gotten a little twitchy while waiting for the credits. You'll see what I mean when that video eventually comes out. But I think after the next 3 episodes of Oceanhorn, I think Dex will take its place. I also, in my Friday live stream, completed Westerado Double Barreled. That was a really neat game. I enjoyed my time in that game. There was a few little, not grindy parts, but a few little frustrating parts to it. But otherwise, it was a pretty cool game. I enjoyed myself. What I think I'm going to do with that, though, I'm going to, first of all, I have to make highlights on Twitch for both episodes. I'll do that. They'll be basically highlights of the entire recording session, just so that they're always there for you to see. But then for YouTube, I am going to chop them up into smaller, like 20-minute or so videos. And I may end up releasing those daily until they're done, since I'm completely finished that game. We'll see. I just have to sit down and actually edit it out and see what it looks like. But I might do it that way. I might just release that, every single day, maybe. Eventually. It's not going to be this week. This week, I'll probably edit it this week, and then maybe next week it'll be a thing. So I'll probably do that. I really enjoyed that game. The music in that game was phenomenal. So it is very, very, very pixel arty, so you may not entirely enjoy the visuals so much, although there are some subtleties about the visuals that make it interesting. Like, for instance, there's a concept of wanted posters in there, and basically the game gives you wanted posters and it tells you, hey, this person's wanted alive, or this person's wanted dead, or this person's wanted dead or deader. And then it gives you a picture, and basically you walk around that particular area and you look for that person, and you got to really pay attention to detail, because there's a lot of people that look like that person, but then maybe they have a different color belt, or they're not wearing a tie, whereas the one in the poster is wearing a tie, so on and so forth. So you have to be very careful who you finger or who you actually shoot if you want to get the rewards for that. But that was a cool game. I enjoyed that. That also means that I have to figure out what I'm going to live stream next as far as that goes. I'm actually thinking of live streaming Invisible Ink. Excuse me, my voice all over the place here. Thinking of streaming Invisible Ink next, at least next Friday, because Invisible Ink has come out fully on Steam now. And while I'm talking about it, I'll leave a link to a Rock Paper Shotgun review of Invisible Ink. For those who are not aware of it, I've played it quite a bit. I actually did I do a side quest video? I'm pretty sure I did a side quest video on it, so there is a side quest video of it on the channel. I've played it a couple times in live streams. It's a lot of fun. It's very difficult. It's a well, depending on what level you're playing at. The version that I played only had one difficulty level, but now it sounds like they've got 3, so it might be a little bit easier on the beginner level and stuff. But it is a roguelike, and it borrows heavily from borrows heavily some of the concepts of XCOM. So you have the idea is you're a spy, and you have a spy agency, and there's some kind of big kerfuffle that's going to happen in 72 hours, and you're trying to build up your agency, build up your agents, build up all your funds and your ammo and supplies and tools to defend against whatever this thing is that's going to happen in 72 hours. And by doing that, you pick 2 spies to lead your organization, and each one of them has different traits, different strengths and weaknesses, and then you can, as you build up money and stuff, you can level them up, you can give them better equipment, so on and so forth, level up their skills as well. And then you take on jobs, and each job takes a certain amount of time to fly them out and fly them back. So it's like 7 hours for this one, and so on and so forth. And they all have difficulty levels around the jobs, and so on and so forth. And each one is a different sort of mission. You go in, you're basically infiltrating one level of a building. And the idea is, as you're going through, it's turn-based. So you have a certain amount of time to go through, figure out, try to find as much loot as you can, try to find as much upgrades as you can, try to get as much data out of it as you can, and then get out of town. Get your way back to an elevator. Hopefully with both of your teammates intact. And it's as you're doing it, as each turn runs, you've got sort of an alert countdown that happens. So the longer you're in an area, the more alert the guards will become, the more alert this facility will become, until eventually it starts throwing more guards at you. It starts throwing cameras start coming online, robots start coming online, so on and so forth. It's really fun. It's hard, or at least the one that I was playing was very hard, but it's fun, and I really enjoyed it. So I'll probably do another live stream of that, I would imagine, probably next week. We'll see. Something else might come up that I'm like, you know what, I'd rather play this or whatever. We'll see. But that's my my take on Invisible Inc. It's a pretty good game if you're into the roguelikes, I think, and particularly the turn-based ones, which are closer to rogue than roguelike in some ways. Then that might be right down your alley. So you might want to go take a look at it on Steam. I'll link it to Rock Paper Shotgun, which does a full review on it. You can, you don't have to take my word for it. You can look at what they've said about it, what its strengths and weaknesses are. So that's a thing. And then I've downloaded quite a few games, and I've been trying to play the demos, downloading the demos of games and trying to play the demos. The first one was Outland 17, Void of Liberty. This one is a tactical turn-based game, and tactical turn-based with some RPG elements in it. And it gathered my attention because it was a sort of sci-fi slash steampunk kind of. Not really steampunk. It's more like let's. The best way I can describe it is to describe the actual story of it. And the story is that you are, it's in the future, far flung into the future. There's a civil war going on, and it's taking, it's basically all of your units and their weapons and all this stuff sort of look like, I'm trying to think of the right words here, look like weapons and uniforms and stuff from the American Civil War era, but only you're in space. So it's more of a all your guns don't necessarily fire bullets, say, that kind of thing. And it's got the concept, and I've seen this in other games too, of tiers. I don't know do they call it tiers, or do they call it sections? I'm not sure what they call it, but the battlefield is laid out, and you've got lines, sort of invisible lines drawn along the battlefield, and all of your team have action points, and in order to move them up to the next section of the battlefield, you end up spending all of your action points to do it. So it takes 10 action points or so to move up to the next section, and that's all you get, at least at the beginning. So it's as you're moving your characters around, you're not really moving them. That's not necessarily moving them horizontally. Well, I mean, not necessarily moving them, I guess, vertically, because it's an isometric game. You're not necessarily moving them vertically per se. You're moving them horizontally, and then each one, each tier then, gets progressively closer to the enemy, or the enemy can move up in their ranks as well. having a lot of trouble trying to actually explain it, but it's been done in other games, and I'm trying to think of another game that comes to mind, and nothing is immediately coming into my brain right now. But it's a so it's you along those same lines. get your brain hat on here, memory. You gotta get on top of this. On those same lines, you do take you do take cover. There is cover behind things. It's turn-based, so your guys get to shoot for as long as or make whatever actions they can for as long as they have action points, and then it might be another guy on your team that takes the next turn, or it might be the enemy that takes the next turn. It all depends on what your stats are and whatnot. And then the idea is you just eliminate all the enemy on the field, and then you have to move your guys around. You can move them in and out of cover, but they can only take only one guy can take cover at a particular time. Can take one piece of cover at a particular time. You've got range weapons. You got close-up weapons. You got sort of swords and bayonets kind of things going on. It looks pretty cool. The artwork looks pretty cool. It looks like it would be a relatively fun game. I've been playing the demo of it. I don't think it's available yet. I think the only thing out there right now is a demo, and it's a free demo. And I will. What am I linking you to? I'm linking you actually to an article that talks about it a little bit more, and from there you can take a link to their IndieDB site, I believe, and also they've got a Kickstarter going on if you want to contribute to that. I have not yet contributed to their Kickstarter, I don't think, and not sure if I will yet or not. It's I'm on the fence because it's a game that I would like, but at the same time, it's a game I can probably wait for. I did vote for them on Greenlight, I think, at the very least. So I did that much, but I don't know if it's something I would put money down for right now, as opposed to waiting until it actually released on Steam and then, taking another look at it, perhaps. But we'll see. I'm keeping an open mind about all the things. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Maybe I did just do that. I just backed 2 things on Kickstarter right before I started recording here, and that might have been one of them. So disclaimers and all that stuff. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I only did it like an hour ago, and I already don't remember. But that is how I roll, though. But yeah, Outland 17 Void of Liberty. That looks pretty interesting. I know what I want to say about it. They did have a Kickstarter. I did back 2 things on Kickstarter, but this was not one of them. They did have a Kickstarter. The Kickstarter was not successful. So hopefully they'll continue forward and not, take that one on the chin and just keep on rolling with the punches and keep on doing what they're doing, because it looked like an interesting game. There's a lot of other games that are very much similar to it, so I guess that's why they're going to have trouble finding some funding for it, unless they go to Steam Early Access, I think. So that's the thing. What else am I looking at? So I downloaded the demo for a game called Lemma, and it's actually a game that's available to be purchased. I think it's out fully. If I'm not mistaken right now. It's not early access or anything like that as far as I know. I think it's completely available. I think it's only like $10 US or so. And I'll leave you a link to their itch.io site, where the reason I'm leaving you a link to that instead of their main site is because that is where you get their demo. I had a hard time just finding a link to their demo. It's not on their main site. I had to go searching around for it. But it is on their itch.io page. They're also on Steam as well, so you can take a look at them on there too. But it's a first-person parkour game. Now, you guys know that I love Mirror's Edge, and I am waiting with bated breath for Mirror's Edge 2 to come out. So any kind of first-person parkour game is going to get my attention at some point, probably. And there's been a few that I've been kind of looking at. I mentioned Hover Revolt of Gamers is one. That's still a bit rough around the edges. There's another one that I've been poking my head in from time to time on, and I can't recall right now off the top of my head the name of it, but it was a very similar one with the first-person parkour. This one is it's an interesting game. It's sort of it's got kind of the art house like mechanics to it, I guess, or art style to it. It's a nice looking game, but it's also very like minimalistic. It's the kind of thing that you would see like every so often. You'll see YouTubers play these kind of weird off-kilter games that don't quite have a don't really have a story necessarily to them. They just kind of exist. They're kind of these art house things, these artsy fartsy things. I'm trying to think of like examples of it. I guess Grow Home would be an example of one that at least I consider it that. There was another one. It's very hard to remember them because they all have these kind of weird freaking names. But there's a couple that, like, if you go on Kurt J. Max's channel, the Farlands or Bust channel, he plays a lot of them. And he's got a bunch of examples of ones that are kind of just these weird, like, little, art school things. Maybe somebody did them in college kind of thing. And this sort of has that same kind of look and feel to it. That said, it looks fairly competent at what it's trying to do as far as the parkour goes. The controls are a little bit stilted, I would say. It was very hard to get a flow going, at least with the demo that I played. And I played through the entire demo. It's only about 15 minutes, the demo. But it's still, like, the levels that I played were just, it was kind of, I was doing a lot of stutter starts, right? There's a lot of stutter, stop, stop here, look, where do I go next? Start again. It didn't feel very fluid. It was kind of hard sometimes to tell where you had to go next. And then when you had to do some of the tricks, like bouncing off the walls and stuff, it was kind of, it felt weird. Not necessarily bad, but just kind of really weird. So all those things, I still think I'll probably buy it and play it. I don't know if it's something for everybody. Like I said, it's got sort of that artsy feel to it. So if you're not really into the games as art kind of thing, probably not going to like it. That's kind of why it gives me a little bit of pause, because I'm like, yeah, I might buy this, but I have a feeling it's not really something that I'm going to necessarily really be into, right? I kind of like to a certain extent, you might say that Mirror's Edge had sort of an artsy style to it because it had all that, everything was kind of whitewashed, but it worked. Like I was able to suspend my disbelief. With some of the art games that I see, I have a hard time trying to suspend my disbelief in them because it just looks just too fantastical, or it just doesn't look right. I can't really explain what I'm trying to get at, but other than to say that it may not be for everyone, and it's something you have to kind of feel out on your own. And since there's a free demo, hey, you get to feel it out on your own and see if it is something that's kind of your style. So, and that's what I did. I played through the demo. I don't know if I will record myself playing through the demo or not. I mean, I could probably do that all in one episode. It's really, one short episode. It's not really that long a demo from what I could remember. And it's only been a couple days since I played it, so might be something I could do. I'm trying to get some more side quest videos out there. It's just I have too many other videos going on right now, and I'm trying to get ahead of the game. That's why I finished Oceanhorn today, because I'm just trying to get ahead of everything. I even recorded some Wolfenstein: The Old Blood, although I forgot to record some Void Expanse. And being as though it's getting late and I'm kind of feeling myself getting tired even right now, I don't know if I'll record any Void Expanse. I don't know if there will be any Void Expanse after this or not. I might end up not doing it for this week and waiting for a little bit, because I've got some vacation coming up. We've got Memorial Day coming up soonish, next week here in the States. So I have a little bit of vacation coming up, so I'll be possibly, among other things, trying to maybe get some additional recordings done. So, and Void Expanse will be one of those things I try to sit down and do there, and try to have that ready to go. So that's that takes care of Lemma. Yep, there we go. So there's another sci-fi game that is just now getting a whole bunch of attention, particularly from streamers and YouTubers and media. It's one that I literally wrote it down here, and I'm like, oh, I wonder, I can't believe I didn't see this game earlier. I swore I saw the game earlier, but I didn't write it down. It turns out I did write it down. I'm just looking up my list here. There's a bunch of things, by the way, in this spreadsheet that I use to keep track of what things I've talked about and what I need to talk about. There are things on this list that go back to... how far back does this go, actually? That's a question. Let me see here. This goes all the way back to August 9th, 2014. I have stuff on here from that. I have one thing on here that I was going to talk about back then and never did. And then what happens is I leave these on here in case I want to talk about them later. But then there's also been quite a few that I've just taken off the list. I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to end up talking about it, and it's so far out of date now that I might as well not worry about it. But it turns out on here, I was just looking here, I heard about Rebel Galaxy back in October of 2014. October 18th, 2014 is when I wrote it down on this spreadsheet here. And it's a sci-fi game that is written by two guys, Travis Baltry and Eric Schaefer, who are, I believe, as it said in the early Rock Paper Shotgun article, they were the founding members of Runic Games, who were the ones who created Torchlight, the Torchlight series. And they went and left Runic and have created an outfit called Double Damage Games. And their first project has been Rebel Galaxy. And Rebel Galaxy, the reason it caught my attention, besides the fact that it's a sci-fi game, which right away catches my attention, it's got a bit of a Firefly feel to it. It's a cross between it's. If you go back and look at my Starpoint Gemini episodes, when you control the ship in Starpoint Gemini, use the mouse and you sort of click around in space. It's got the same sort of control scheme as like the original. In fact, all of the Star Trek, those Star Trek games. What were they? I can't remember the name of them right now, but it's got the same control as the Star Trek games. Starpoint Gemini did, the first one did anyway, with the mouse, and you click on an area of around your ship, and it would spin. Your ship would spin left and right to get to that point. This one it's not mouse driven; it's actually keyboard driven, from what I can tell, and it's closer to Starpoint Gemini 2. Which is you're behind your ship and you're kind of flying it around like you would like a normal ship, except you're not in the cockpit, you're outside of it. and you can spin your view around and all that stuff to see what's going on. But it's basically looks like that. But it's only you're locked to the 2D plane, right? It's not you can't move up and down like you can in Starpoint Gemini 2, which is another game I gotta get back to at some point in time. I put it off and never got back to it for some reason. But anywho, Rebel Galaxy, that's sort of how it looks and how it plays. But then it's got all kinds of customization around it. You can customize your ship. You can build upgrades onto your ships. You can get new ships, buy new ships. You can swap out all the different parts of it, so on and so forth. And it gives you sort of the sandbox realm, kind of, where you can go out and just take on missions and try to, do whatever you want to do. You are a rebel in a galaxy. You can do whatever the hell you want. So it's got sort of that Firefly feel to it, where all the music apparently is really good. People have been asking for, like, already. The YouTubers and streamers that have had access to it are already asking for, like, music discs and stuff for it, because the music is fantastic in it. But you basically are given free reign to play it the way you want to play it. There is apparently an overarching story, but then you can go off and kind of do what you want to do. And their trailer was pretty infamous about this. The first trailer that I saw on it was you're talking to an alien, and he's trying to get you to. He's telling you about how rough and tumble the galaxy is that you're in, and he's trying to get you to buy his services as an escort to help you, fend off various or as a guide. I'm sorry, as a guide, and you have various dialogue choices you can make. You can just say, it's the normal things like, no thanks, or, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. And then there's another one that's like, you know what, suck it. And he gets all pissed off, and then you can just start shooting them and blow them up and all that stuff. And you pretty much get that dialogue option, from what I've seen from some gameplay footage, pretty much on every trader and free marketer that you come across, every AI controlled opponent that you come across in the game. You can pretty much tell them to go shove it where the sun doesn't shine, and then piss them off and really just play the game the way you want to. And you can be a pirate. You can go and just steal all kinds of cargo from ships and various other things. It looks really cool. I'm really digging it. In fact, I'm digging it to the point where I'm like, I really wish I could buy this. I really wish I could get early access on this, but I don't. I don't. They've given it out. Apparently, a whole lot of streamers and YouTubers have access to the builds for it. I don't, because I don't roll that way usually. But it's and I'm a nobody compared to a lot of those streamers. But it's I'm waiting. I'm waiting with bated breath. I've been trying to follow it for a long time here, hoping for a day when it will be available for purchase. So hopefully that day will come soon. I will link you to their main site so you can take it in for yourself, take in the full glory of their video. I won't link you to the old Rock Paper Shotgun article because it's pretty much out of date by now. Since it's from 2014, but I will link you to their main site, and you can take a look at it. But yeah, as soon as I can, this is a shut up and take my money moment right here. I'm like, as soon as I can give them money, I will do so. I'm just waiting with bated breath for that day to come. Another interesting game, a sci-fi game at that. I've got, by the way, lots of sci-fi games on my list here. There's a whole lot of them that have some news associated with them. But another sci-fi game that I quite literally stumbled onto is called XO. And I'll link you to Indie Gamer article that talks about it, because they talk about it a little bit more than everything else. But I sent out a tweet about it, and I tweeted the link was to the Square Enix Collective. they're on the Square Enix Collective trying to raise money from Square Enix to, I guess, fund the game, to publish the game. I'm not sure how the Square Enix Collective works. I think that's how it works. That if after a certain number of votes, they'll say yes, we will fund this or whatever. I think that's how it goes. But anyway, I in fact I liked what I saw so much from the trailer that they had there that I was like, I'm going to go create an account now on Square Enix Collective just so I can vote yes for this, and that's what I did. Right now all the trailers have it as wireframe, and it sounds like there's a lot of people in the comments that were like, you know what, you should keep this wireframe because it just has that cool feel to it. All the wireframe ships, it looks like you're playing the whole game in like a tactical mode, basically. And the idea behind it is, it's basically Battlestar Galactica. You're a ship. You're a commander of a ship, and there's an alien race that's come in, or I believe it's an alien race that's come in, and they're wiping out everyone that they can. They're wiping out all the humans that they can find. And so your job is to basically gather up a fleet and keep fighting them off and just get your fleet to safety. Just like in Battlestar Galactica, it's like you're just trying to protect this fleet. You're trying to get them to safety. You can, what they're doing is this alien race or whatever it is, they're actually like assimilating your people. So rather than destroying your ships, they'll actually go and capture your ships and take them over and then make them part of their own, that kind of thing. And you can do the same thing to them. You can go and take over their enemy ships. You can say, oh, this ship looks really good. It's got a lot of cargo space, or it's got a lot of weapons on it. So you can take that over and you can decide to spend resources on that and then go and make that part of your ragtag team that's going across the stars, is trying to get away from this menace. You know, I've wanted it for a long time to have a game like that's like Battlestar Galactica, where only you're in charge of doing that, in charge of the fleet, of gathering up the fleet and just going away and trying to get away from, you know, the Cylons or whatever it is that's plaguing you across the galaxy. It sounds like just a fantastic concept, and I really hope it's something that sees the light of day and becomes a thing, because it's really it's not going to blow you away graphic wise, because again, I said it's all wireframe, but it looks like it's something special. It really does. It looks like it's really something special, and I hope that it becomes a thing, and it is actually a game that we can end up playing, because I really like the idea behind it. And of course, it's sort of roguelike in that it's, you know, you choose where you're going to jump next, and there's permadeath from what I can tell, but it's still you know, even at that state, I mean, it feels like it should be. It feels like it should be a permadeath thing, right? Because it's like, yeah, these things are wiping out everyone you know. So I think that's something that deserves to be made and see the light of day. So cannot wait. There's a video on their collective page, and I believe there's a video on the Indie Gamer article as well that talks a little bit more about it. And then you can go look at that and see what you think about it. It's I mean, yeah, it's Tron. It's Tron mixed with Battlestar Galactica and roguelikes and all that stuff. So there you go. Other things on here. So I mentioned a while ago, and I've mentioned this a couple times, that I have a little mobile game that I've been playing off and on for a while called Star Command. And it's something that, it's a really cool, it's a really fun mobile game as far as mobile games go. So it's fun, it's fun to play. but it suffers from the mobileitis that a lot of mobile games suffer from, which is fun to play, not so fun to watch someone else play it. So I always have this problem where like I want to record myself playing Star Command, but it's gonna be really boring because there's a lot of downtime, a whole lot of downtime. I would end up, cutting the videos down to like 8 minutes or so if I cut out all the downtime from it. So that's why I haven't done any videos on it. But that said, they've been working on a project for a while now that I'm part of the alpha funding for and everything else. And I played the alpha 3 of, and I had alpha 2 at one point, but I played the alpha 3 of it a little bit. It's still very, very early enough that I kind of got frustrated with it after about half an hour and just put it down. But it's called Star Command Galaxies. And it's got the same art style as the Star Command mobile game, which is to say the art style seems very, very similar, at least to the untrained eye, to the Spatials. And it's got sort of a very similar concept to the Spatials, but it's different, right? The idea here is you have a team of people that you're putting together. It's sci-fi. You're the captain. You've got some crew members, and you're building up a ship. You can build it up yourself, or you can buy some from there using the whatever currency they're going to have or whatever it is in the game, or however you do it. I'm not sure how you do it, but you can customize that ship. You can build it from scratch if you want to. You can put all the different parts on it that you want, and you are controlling your people. So you can say, oh, you go man the weapons stations, or this person mans the captain's chair, and this person mans the navigation, and so on and so forth, or the engine room, I should say. And then you've got to repel borders, and you've got to you'll encounter other aliens out in space and have to fight them, which is very similar to the actual mobile game, but you're taking more control over your actual people now. You're controlling them individually and telling them to go repair stuff, go build stuff, go craft stuff. And then, much like in the Spatials, you can then go on away teams. You can go land on a planet and go for mine resources, and you can build. I believe you can build bases on the planet, because one of the alphas had that, where it was like you're building bases and stuff on the planets and stuff. Still, it's a single player game, but it's all that sort of wrapped in there. If you took a good number of the good things from the Spatials, like the away missions and some of the management and stuff like that, and it's akin to if I changed the Spatials to where the space station was under attack sometimes, and you had to defend the space station. You had to build armament and weapons. You had to man turrets. Have enough people there to man turrets, and so on and so forth. If they did that in the Spatials, you would pretty much have Star Command Galaxies basically at that point, with some extra crafting and building abilities. But I've been keeping an eye on it. They just released Alpha 4. I'll link you to their main website so you can take a look at it. You can actually buy into it. I've bought into the Alpha already. I believe it was like $20 or something like that. I think US to get into their Alpha. And then you get their Alpha updates as they come in. Like I said, Alpha 4 just came out, which has a lot of changes to it. I haven't played it yet, so I want to probably dig into that and see it. I haven't done a video on it yet because, like I said, the Alpha 3 that I played for only about a half an hour, and I got really frustrated with the fact that nothing seemed to be working right. Like I couldn't manage my people right, and it was just not working out. So hopefully they're, like I said, very, very early still. So you might want to wait for a while on it, maybe, unless you're like me and you mind getting into something that's very got a lot of dust, got a lot of yellow caution tape and dust all over the place. That's generally how I roll when it comes to games. Yeah, I wanted to mention that because they just had an Alpha 4 come out, a new Alpha release come out. So that's a thing, just keeping up to date on as many things as I can, just going around the internets and seeing what's up and what's going on and what's happening. Like I said, I've been playing Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. So far, so good. It's more of what I wanted from the New Order. Nothing, it's not very story heavy. It's more shooty heavy right now. So I've been just doing that, getting ahead of the game on that. I'm a little bit ahead on the videos, so that'll be good. Also continuing with Dishonored. I don't know how much of Dishonored I have left. I know I want to play all the DLC that I have, so it feels like I'm getting pretty far into it, but I'm not sure how many hours you're supposed to have out of that game. I will say though, Dishonored has been... I've been debating whether I want to change over to not doing sign-offs in between episodes. I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to change in the middle of a series like that because it's kind of something that you're used to. And there are some parts in it that are slow down enough that I can just say, okay, I'm going to break it here. Thanks for watching. See you next time. That kind of thing. But I am thinking more and more of doing less of that with story-driven games. I didn't do it with Wolfenstein: The New Order, and it worked out really well because I was able to make dramatic cuts, during the gameplay. And I didn't do it during, Game of Thrones and all that stuff, the Telltale games, because I played those through all in one session. And it does give me the freedom to sort of cut the video where it would be like on a high note or on a cliffhanger sort of. Whereas you don't really get that when I actually sign off vocally. On the other hand, signing off vocally does sort of give you like bookends and you sort of feel good, So I don't know. I'm thinking as I do some more story-based games, I might end up just not doing the sign-offs in between and the sign-ons and the sign-offs in between videos. Except I'll still probably do them at the beginning of recording sessions, but not in between videos as much probably going forward. I'll still do it for like the sandbox games and for games that have like a logical breaking point in them. I'll probably still do it with. But yeah, I'm sort of going back the other way with that and like, yeah, maybe I'll go back this and do it where it's a little bit more dramatic, especially given that The Witcher 3 is something that I am going to play on the YouTube channel. That one's going to be interesting because I just saw an article that talked about the length of the game, and they're like, yeah, one of our top guys who knows all the tricks about the game took him 25 hours to do it. Most people, it's probably going to take 100 to 200 hours to do all the content. And I'm like, or to do the content, depending on how much of the side quests you do, you could be upwards of 200 hours in the game. And since I'm a big stickler for side quests where I love playing all the side quests that I can, except if they're grindy and terrible, I suspect that The Witcher 3 may end up being something that takes me an entire year or more to get through. I'm kind of thinking of like Skyrim and like Zisto. I think he played Skyrim for like 2 years or something like that before he finally got through all the content in it. I might end up like that with The Witcher 3. We'll see. It's not something I've thought about like live streaming it, but the problem I have with live streaming it is I'll probably have to mark the live stream as adult only, because there is random nudity and other things in it. Famously the sex on the unicorn thing and various other things. They actually released a trailer where there's some some areola visible in it, and being an areola guy myself, I was, you know, like, I'm glad I pre-ordered this. Am I revealing too much information? Is this too much information right now? So it'll be something that I do for the YouTubes, but it'll be something that I record probably on the weekend, and then record for a very long session, and then just chop it up into little bits probably. But yeah, expect that when it's available. Apparently there's going to be a day one patch, so I'll have to wait for another patch to come down. There was already one after the preload happened, so I might have to wait for another one, but it's for frame rate and performance issues and stuff, so can't complain too much on that. Also, I will link you to an article that's basically on Polygon. It's just pretty much the gist of the article is The Witcher 3 has had 1 million pre-orders already. So lots of hype around the game, lots of good stuff that we've seen around it. As I said, I have The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2. I played about a half an hour of The Witcher 1, and I was getting frustrated with the controls. I have not played any of The Witcher 2. So, but from what I understand from people who have been reviewing YouTubers had access to the early releases of it. From what I understand, you don't actually need to know anything about the previous games to enjoy The Witcher 3. Although there will be some, hint, nudges to things in the original game. You'll find out how people ended up if you did have knowledge of the original games. So, given all that, I feel confident that I'll be able to jump into The Witcher 3, and hopefully everything will go well. From my understanding, the combat in The Witcher has always been an interesting thing, and it sounds like it's going to continue to be an interesting thing. So we'll see how well I do. If I get too frustrated, I might end up never uploading a video, or I might end up cutting the series short if I get too frustrated with it. But we'll see. We'll see how it fleshes out. We'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, that brings you up to speed on The Witcher 3 stuff that is going on. Also, talk about this. I'll link you to a Destructoid article. Talks a little bit more about this. But there was a Kickstarter that I looked at, but I didn't back because it just wasn't my kind of game, even though it's a sci-fi game. A Kickstarter called Dimension Drive. The reason it wasn't something that I backed is because it's a bullet hell game, and I have a on again, off again feeling when it comes to bullet hell games. I'm not really into them that much as I was, although Raptor Call of the Shadows I would probably play again, which was a very, very old game, old DOS game. I'd probably play that again, but like I said, I have on again, off again feelings about them. Most bullet hell games I don't really enjoy too much. Like there was one on the SNES that I played that I owned. I think it was called Earth Defense Force, and I played it a lot, but I can't really say, thinking back on it, that I actually really enjoyed it that much. It was just something to play, based upon not having too many other games at the time, at least not owning enough other games at the time. But Dimension Drive, getting back to Dimension Drive, it's a bullet hell game. It's got its big concept, if you will, is that there's actually 2 screens scrolling up at the same time, and there's enemies on both screens and obstacles on both screens. And the idea is that you can kick in your Dimension Drive and it will jump you over to the other screen, where you can maybe avoid obstacles or do other puzzles or destroy enemies on that screen, and then you can jump back to the left-hand screen, and you can keep jumping between the left-hand and the right-hand screens using your Dimension Drive. And that's the big, twist on the normal shoot 'em up games, or bullet hell games, or whatever you want to call them. They are in the news mostly because they thought that they had hit their goal. I think they had a $30,000 goal, if I remember correctly. and they thought they hit their goal right at the wire. It turns out that last $7,000 that came in from a generous, or quote unquote generous person, was fraudulent, and that fraud was exposed about a half an hour prior to the end of their campaign by the security team of Kickstarter, and they wiped out that $7,000, which then made the Kickstarter project fail. And they're, as you might imagine, really bummed out about it. A lot of the gaming sites picked it up as somebody trolled them with that pledge. It certainly seems that way, although, it could be just a kid who didn't realize what was going on, who really wanted the game, and, just took his dad's credit card or something, or did something like that, or, otherwise made it fraudulent. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, it was a kick in the nuts for the team of that's working on Dimension Drive. Hopefully, they've been trying to talk with Kickstarter to see if they can maybe extend their campaign a little bit longer. There's already a bunch of other indie devs and other devs that have pledged to support them, just because that was such a crappy thing to go through. Honestly, my take on it is, I think I would be surprised if Kickstarter extended it, because it is just as easy for them to start up a brand new campaign. And I think if those people the devs of Dimension Drive did start up another campaign for the same game, I think they would probably surpass their goal pretty quickly, I would imagine, given all the media attention that they got on it. So yeah, I'd be surprised if they extended it. I think it would be probably better for them to just start over from scratch. The idea there is they were falling well behind on their Kickstarter, and I looked at their Kickstarter campaign, and it had a lot of holes to it. It didn't really bring anything that fresh to the market, I felt like. And if it did, even though it was a bullet hell game, I might have backed it. But it just didn't seem like it wasn't really doing it for me, and it didn't feel like. I'm sure a lot of time went into their Kickstarter campaign, and it sounds like they had a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of hard work behind it. But it just didn't feel like it was something that they could get that kind of money off of. That said, all the best to them, and I hope that they succeed. I hope that they redo their Kickstarter, and I hope that they succeed the second time around with it. I think that is a crappy thing to do to somebody, particularly very, very crappy thing to do, and it's hell to go through. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as the old saying goes. So hopefully they can pick themselves up and dust themselves off and make that happen. So that's Dimension Drive. Again, I'll link you to the Destructoid article. It talks a little bit more about it, but that's basically the gist of it, and they'll give you links on there to the Kickstarter and whatnot, so you can see that it failed and all those things. So another little surprise that came out this week, a little trailer, and I sent this out via the tweeters tweet. I tweeted it out, and I tweeted it out because I played Evoland, the first Evoland, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it. It's not something that I would have recorded. I played it before I was recording on YouTube. It's not something I would have recorded on YouTube anyway, because there was a little bit grindiness in the middle towards the end. And I fought that boss like 7 or 8 times before I was able to finally get through it. But Evoland 2 has been announced, and there's a video of it. I'll link you to the Destructoid article that talks about it and has the video embedded in it. Evoland 2, A Slight Case of Space-Time Continuum Disorder is the full name of the game. And if you're not familiar with Evoland, the original Evoland was I believe it spawned off of either a Ludum Dare or one of those game jam things, and it became a reality. It became an actual game, and the idea behind it was you were playing basically an RPG game, and it went through the history, the evolution, if you will, of RPG games. You start out the game, and there's like not a lot of graphics. There's only a few colors. It's kind of monochrome, and then as you explore the area, you come upon chests, and each chest gives you a power-up, and the power-up would then increase your display resolution or increase your number of colors that are there, basically take you through gaming history until you got to the very end when you were doing 3D. Your character went from a 2D plane to a 3D. Everything was in 3D now and isometric, and it was also very tongue-in-cheek. It made references to RPG games and having MacGuffins that you had to go around and collect. There was even a reference at one point to point and clicks, where there's one area where as you would transition between areas, there would be a CD loading screen. It's like, oh wait, you gotta loading disc number 2 of the CD, and then you would eventually you would go to the shopkeeper and you would buy the ability to lower that loading time or remove the loading time entirely. So as you're transitioning between scenes, you wouldn't have that loading and stuff. It was pretty funny. It was nice. It was a cool game. It was very tongue-in-cheek. It was very fun to go through. It looks like they're doing more of the same, only this time they're not relegating themselves to just RPGs. If you look through the trailer, you see fighting games, you see bullet hell games, you'll see brawler games at one point. It looks like they're going across the entire spectrum now of various game types that you play through as you're playing the game, as you level up throughout the game. So you can bet your ass. I loved the original Evoland. You can bet your ass I will be picking up Evoland 2 as soon as I can. Again, I'll link you to the article that talks about it some more and gives you a video to watch. And I suggest highly that you watch that video because it is a really cool game. It's a neat concept. I'm glad to see it. They're taking it one step further. They're still very, very tongue-in-cheek about all the things, and it looks like it will hopefully surpass all my wildest dreams about what a sequel should be for a game like that. So that is something else on my list there. So something else that might be on your guys' list too, if you're interested in it and interested enough in like the 2D pixel art that becomes like a 3D game and so on and so forth. It looks like they stepped up the graphics too quite a bit. I mean, the graphics were pretty good in the first one, but they were appropriately, fleshed out as far as, different eras of gaming goes. And then when you got to the 3D era, the graphics were pretty good. The art style was pretty good. So it looks like they're just taking that even further along the way with that. So very cool stuff there. I like what I see, and I can't wait to have it in my virtual palm of my virtual hand, and just be able to hit play and in Steam and have that be a thing. running out of words to use. I really need a hat that I've just written, a bunch of adjectives down on pieces of paper and just throw them in a hat and just kind of spin that up and just pick out adjectives. I really need to do that at some point because I run out of them very quickly. And I feel like it gets annoying after a while when you're like, so that's a thing, and oh yeah, that's great, and oh I kind of like that, and so I need to find more words. I need more words. Why did you put all my words? So I might do that one day, just as a nice little joke. Just throw a bunch of adjectives in a hat and just pick them out. Go, this is Calabunga fragilistic. I'll use real adjectives though. Oh man. It must be over an hour right now because I'm getting punchy. What are we up to? Yeah, we're up to 1 hour and 5. All right, we got a few more minutes left. A few more minutes left here. And in those few more minutes, let's talk about what else I've been kind of looking at here and there. I think I talked last week a little bit about Wildfire. I tried to play a little bit more of that and died again, so I'm going to wait on that for quite some time, I think. What else did I tried to play some of Deadwood, The Forgotten Curse. You might have seen this on other YouTubers' channels. They had a Kickstarter that was eventually successful. I think it just was successful this week. And I backed them on it. The idea behind the game, Deadwood: The Forgotten Curse, is it's a survival sandbox game. It's got the 2D, isometric sort of pixel art kind of stuff. It's not really pixel art. It's cartoon graphics is what I really want to use there. The words I want to use there. And the idea is that you've got all the crafting in the game and all that stuff. But you've got a giant rock creature who is like the last of the protectors of the realm, or whatever they're calling them. And there's a curse that has come upon the realm, and he's the only one that can break that curse. Your job is to keep him alive amongst, at nighttime, because at nighttime during the day he'll walk around and be all happy, and he'll get attacked occasionally by these like wooden creatures that have come alive. It's living wood that has come alive and is trying to attack everybody. There's like wooden zombies, and he'll get attacked along the way, but he'll also defend himself. But the idea is that at nighttime he falls asleep and you have to protect him. So wherever he falls asleep, you got to build up fortifications around that, try to keep those zombies out and keep them, the wood zombies, if you will, out, and try to protect him for as long as you can and craft new stuff. It's, survive. You have to survive. He has to survive. It's got an interesting concept there, and I backed it more for the interesting concept than I did for, necessarily like I must have this. I can wait on that one for a while. I just really like the concept, and I really wanted to see it come to fruition. It's one of those things where it's like, you know what? You have a good idea here. Here's like $20. Like, go do your thing. So that Kickstarter was just successful. Actually, I believe Good even had a video of it that goes into more depth than anything I've done. I tried playing it for about half an hour, and I failed miserably, and I was rushed for time, so I didn't spend any time trying to figure out things. So I'll probably jump back into that at some point. I don't know if I'll do a video of it. I don't think it's at a point yet where I could do justice to the game with a video. So that's another thing out there you can take a look at. I will link you to the game's website, so you can take a look at it, or to their Kickstarter. I don't know. Some of these games only have a Kickstarter presence and don't have a website. We'll see. I think this one has a website, but it'll be one of those two links. Something that has more information on it, basically, is what I'll link you to. Yeah, that's all a thing. And as we climb this mountain, it is now a thing for me to say thank you, everybody, so much for watching. This is actually recording number 92 of Cube World footage. It's not 92 of Cube Ramblings, but it is 92 of Cube World. So that is a thing. Got level 236. We continue forward. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you next Sunday.